Part 1 of the Traveler's Rest Mines update, or Galore, is finally here, and it's packed with tons of new mining content for us to enjoy. The devs did a great job with this update, so I'm excited to share with you the new stuff they added, as well as guide you through everything you need to know to complete the new mine. If you haven't kept up with development, here's some quick background info to get you up to speed. For years, this unlucky miner, named Ferro, has been stuck frozen in a block of ice that's been blocking off the way into the mines on Traveler's Rest map, and now finally we can free him from his frosty prison. Doing this will give us access to the all-new mines area, filled with procedurally generated floors to explore. To reach the bottom floors and obtain the best resources, we'll need to help Ferro with his explosive research. We can use these better resources to then craft brand new tavern decoration items, crafting workstations, and improved tools. And we can also complete puzzles within the mines to obtain special treasures like additional materials, extra decor blueprints, and new hairstyles. One of the first things you'll likely notice with this new update, mainly if you've played previous Traveler's Rest versions, is that there are some brand new structures around your property. Instead of the old copper, iron, and coal deposits that you were able to loot but never able to remove, now you have a variety of trees, small and large logs, small and large rocks, and stone structures scattered throughout your property. Some of these you can break with your starter axe, like the very small rocks and the normal trees, while others will give you a pop-up message letting you know you'll need a better axe or pickaxe in order to be able to break them. The big benefit to these new structures that came with this update is that you'll now be able to upgrade your tools, and doing so will allow you to completely clear out the space on your land if you'd like to for building purposes. And breaking the things on your property is something you just couldn't do before. Once you've taken a look at how the area around your tavern has changed, if you head to the zone above your property, you'll now be presented with a brand new cutscene. In it, some miners sitting around a campfire nearby will be discussing different ideas about how to free their fellow miner, Ferro, who has gotten himself frozen in ice, blocking the entrance into the mine. It sounds like the miners don't have this issue fully under control though, as they have some differing opinions about how to solve this problem, so it's up to you to come up with a creative solution. If you walk up to them and chat with the group, they'll suggest you head upwards to the hot springs area and look around there. You should notice too, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, that you have a little quest prompt related to this. If you don't remember how to get to the hot springs from my other videos, you'll simply head upwards from where you talk to the group of miners, keep to the right a bit and head up some more, and then go left and up again until you reach a long staircase. Once you enter this area, you'll notice there's a red exclamation mark above a nearby NPC. If you've played Traveler's Rest prior to this update, you might recognize this NPC as Bob. When you chat with him, he'll wake up from an unexpectedly long nap and give you an empty bottle as a gift. He'll also mention he likes to fill this bottle with hot water from the springs to warm himself up on cold days, which might give you a little idea about how to fix your Ferro problem. Anyway, Bob walks off and lets you know he has a small shop where he sells some items down southwest of your tavern. Once he walks away, you're ready to use that empty bottle. To do this, you don't have to equip it into your hotbar or anything. You'll simply use it similar to how you use your buckets when you're filling them up at the well near your tavern. Approach the hot spring, and you'll have the option to press E to fill up your bottle. Once you do, you'll receive a new item in your inventory called Hot Water Bottle. You'll notice your task now is to use that hot water bottle to go unfreeze Ferro. Walk back down out of the hot springs area, to the right down one small staircase, and then to the left before you get to the second small staircase. You'll find a little mine cart on some tracks, as well as Ferro frozen in the ice there. When you approach him, you'll have the option to press E on him, and when you do, you'll pour your hot water bottle on the ice that's trapping him in place. When this happens, you'll hear a little sizzling sound effect, and there will be a bit of water vapor in the air, but Ferro won't unfreeze entirely. In your quest note at the top corner of your screen, you'll see that you've done 1 out of 3 unfreezing attempts, so you'll actually need to walk back and refill your hot water bottle. The next time you use the hot water on him, you'll see a pool of water begin to form on the ground beneath him. Then, the third time you bring the hot water, he'll completely unfreeze. Once he's freed, he'll chat with you for a bit and then return to his miner friends, leaving the entrance to the mine open behind him. At this point, you can walk into the mines that were previously blocked and explore them a little. Here's a quick walk around so you can see the entrance area. At the back of the mine's entrance area, you'll find a little opening in the wall leading downward, as well as an elevator with a lever on it. Either of these will allow you to enter the first floor of the mine. Before you step down into the mines, though, you might notice that there's a little helmet rack next to the elevator. You can interact with this helmet rack to put on and wear a miner's helmet while you're exploring the mine. So be sure to do this if you enjoy the roleplay element of it. You can also re-interact with the hat rack to place the miner's hat back on it and unequip it. If you leave the mine or fall asleep while you're inside the mine, I believe the hat will automatically unequip from your character, replacing it with your previous cosmetic gear. Once you've entered the mine, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen that there's a little box letting you know which floor you're currently on. This is great to be aware of, especially once you've unlocked more floors in the mine later on. As you're walking around, you'll also see some recognizable ore deposits if you've played older versions of the game. Rocks that have pitch black looking dots on them are ones you can mine coal from. Rocks that have gray ore inside of them have iron ore. Rocks that have orangish ore inside of them give you copper ore, and if the rock has no visible ore in it, it gives you stone. And all of these deposits seem mineable with your basic pickaxe that you start the game with. You'll also see a few bats flying around as you walk through the floors. From what I've seen though, these cannot be attacked with your broom for meat like the wild turkeys can. At least not at this time, so they seem purely decorative. You can, however, use your broom on the wooden crates and vases you find scattered around, and they'll give you various loot items for doing so. You can also use your shovel to dig up X marks around the mines, but unfortunately, you still can't get away from people leaving their underwear in questionable places. You can fish in the waters of the mines too, although the first fish I caught in the mines was one of the same kinds that you could catch outside of the mines. So I'm not sure if there are any specific fish that you can catch in the mines that are unique, at least not yet, or maybe not on the earlier floors. As you explore the mine further, you'll also come across root-like structures you'll have to chop down with your axe to get through, as well as wooden fences you'll need to smack with your broom to break through. So keep that in mind if you're ever stuck, and it seems like you should be able to explore more areas. Some of these root-like structures will have spikes on them though, which you'll need an upgraded axe to break through. And you'll also eventually encounter stone walls your pickaxe won't be able to handle breaking either. We'll talk about upgrading our tools a little bit later on, but just know that you can come across those too. It seems like every floor of the mines has a chance to have a puzzle you can do to receive special treasure. Puzzles don't seem like they're guaranteed to spawn on every single floor every time, as I have come across some floors that didn't seem to have a puzzle at all, so it seems random whether you get one to solve or not. If you don't enjoy puzzles or find the puzzles in the game to be too difficult, it's good to know that you can always press the escape button to open up your menu, click on the options tab, and then toggle your easier challenges setting to make the difficulty of the puzzles a little easier. There are several different types of puzzles you can find in the mines, as well as altered variations of the puzzles that make them feel more unique. I had planned to cover a list of all the puzzle types I'd found in the mines in this video, but the video ended up getting pretty long and there were a surprising variety of puzzles added in this update, so I figured that would be better as a separate video. So I'll upload that later on when I get the chance. For now, I'll just give you a general overview of what the puzzles are like in the game and how you might go about completing them. Every time you reach a floor that does have a puzzle on it, there will be a kind of altar-looking spot on the wall with a small plaque, a man's face, and an empty raised stone platform. If you see that, it means there's a puzzle that you can complete on that floor. Like I said, there's a variety of puzzle types, so some will be things like solving riddles, finding hidden items, or performing certain actions. Once you do these tasks successfully, you'll get a little cutscene showing the altar-looking spot unlocking and a treasure chest appearing on top of the raised stone platform. You'll then need to return to the altar location and open the chest to collect your treasure. In my experience, the lower floor puzzles, like floor 1, seem to like to give processed metal items, particularly iron and copper bars and scraps, as well as a bit of money as the puzzle rewards. This is nice since it skips collecting ore and processing time and resources, so that's helpful if you're in need of resources for crafting or if you're just starting out in the game. Around floor 3 or so, I started getting cobalt ingots for completing the puzzles as well, and it seems like all floors have a chance to give you cosmetic items as rewards too. So far, I found several interesting headpieces from the puzzles that seem to be brand new to this update. Once you've completed the first floor of the mines and the puzzle within it, you'll notice when you head back up the elevator out of that floor that there's a little icon showing you that you've collected the treasure from the puzzle on that floor. You'll see this in the navigation screen when you're accessing the elevator, and this feature is really handy. That's because the puzzles in the mines actually reset every single day when you go back into the mines. And you'll eventually have plenty of floors to explore and try to keep track of, so definitely make use of this feature and check on whether or not you've completed puzzles on your floors whenever you need to. Not only do the puzzles reset each day in the mines, but like I mentioned, you'll be able to gather more ore from fresh mining nodes, destroy more breakables, and come across different digging spots. The procedural generation really feels great in the mines, since going through the same floors again feels like an entirely fresh experience. If you completed floor 1 of the mine on the same day that you freed Ferro, you won't be able to progress any further in the mines at that time. If you go chat with Ferro and the rest of the miners though, they'll thank you for freeing him and let you know they'll be back to work in the mines the following day, so you can go to bed for the night and return to the mine in the morning to keep on progressing it. The following day, the campsite that the miners typically liked hanging out around will be all closed up, the fire will be snuffed out, and they'll all be hard at work back in the mine. When you re-enter the mine, you'll find half of the miners hard at work mining on the left side, while Clive and Ferro will be standing behind desks on the right side with exclamation marks above their heads. If you talk to Clive, he'll say that he wishes they could get to the lower floors of the mines to collect better loot, but he mentions that there are some obstacles blocking their way. In the meantime, he has a small shop where he's able to sell you limited amounts of excess ore and stone. If you talk to Ferro, he claims to have a solution for clearing those pesky obstacles blocking the lower floors: Dynamite. However, it's a risky solution that his fellow miners don't feel comfortable helping him with, so it's up to a daredevil like yourself to kick things off. You'll see once you've talked to Ferro the first time that he now has a shop too, but instead of paying silver to buy things from him, you'll need to gather specific materials for him. From the start, only one option is available in Ferro's shop for him to craft for you: light load dynamite. The light load dynamite will open a path to floor 2 of the mine, and it takes 5 iron ore, 5 copper ore, and 5 coal to make. Thankfully, these materials are pretty easy to get. Not only can you find them on floor 1 of the mine, but you can also still find ore and coal deposits around the map, just not in the map zone where your tavern is. So just spend a little while exploring and you should come across these materials without a problem. When you're done collecting them and you've delivered them to Ferro, it's time to burst your way down into the next floor. To do this, look for a hole in the wall that's blocked by a pile of rocks. In front of it, you should see the dynamite that Ferro crafted for you. Walk up to it, interact with it, and it will blow open the entrance into the next floor down. Despite Ferro's comments, you don't have to worry about stepping back or even keeping a distance from the dynamite when it goes off, because it doesn't hurt you at all even if you're standing right up on it when it explodes. As soon as you've blasted open the entrance to the second floor of the mines, when you speak to Ferro again, he'll have a new type of dynamite available to you called Pulsefire. This one will take 15 iron ore, 15 copper ore, and 10 coal. This is a little pricier, but it still isn't too hard to manage. If you've been collecting a lot around the world and throughout the different mines floors, you're likely pretty close to having this many materials already. Once you've collected and delivered them, same thing. Head down to floor 2, look for the stone blocking your way with the dynamite in front of it, and kaboom. Getting down into floor 4 of the mines isn't quite as easy though. To craft your next explosive, you're going to need a material you haven't seen before in the game called Granite. While you've been exploring the floors, especially floor 2 and 3, you might have come across some mining outcrops that looked different from your typical coal, stone, and copper or iron ore deposits and suspected they could be granite. However, you might have also noticed that these outcrops are usually positioned on the other side of walls or vines that you can't break with your regular tier of axe or pickaxe. And even if you do come across unblocked granite deposits, you can't even mine those with the basic tier of your pickaxe either. So at a minimum, you'll need to upgrade your pickaxe in order to be able to collect this. To get started with upgrading your pickaxe, you'll need to visit Hallmund, the blacksmith in town. You can find his shop by heading up through the middle of town and to the right into the next area. When you see the pet shop building, immediately head downward and the blacksmith building is directly on your right. Hallmund's wife works inside, while Hallmund himself can be found standing behind the anvil on the outside of the shop, so simply walk up to the anvil and speak to him there. When you do, you'll be presented with an option in your dialog menu that gives you the choice to upgrade your tools. When you click on this, you'll see each of your tool types, starting with your starter tiers of those tools, connected with a line to their sequential upgrades. Clicking on the next tier of upgrade will show you in the top right-hand corner of the menu what materials you'll need to deliver to Hallmund so he can craft you that higher tier of tool. Your starter tools are the first tier here, the copper tier. If you ever lose your tools, you can rebuy the basic versions from Hallmund here by clicking his shop dialog option. But don't get confused when you're looking at the upgrade menu. You do not need to upgrade your tools to copper tier, they already are. So what you want to look at are the second version of all the tools, the iron tier, and the materials required to upgrade to them. For the iron tier of the pickaxe, you'll need 1 copper pickaxe, which it should show you already have by saying 1 out of 1, 30 iron bars, and 60 wooden planks. You can process wood into planks at your sawmill workstation and iron ore into iron bars at your smelter workbench. Once you have those materials on hand, click on the iron tier of the pickaxe, and Hallmund will tell you to come back the following day to recollect your improved tool. Be aware that you can get through the entirety of the mine as of this current update by just upgrading your pickaxe one time if you are trying to conserve your materials as much as possible. Once your pickaxe is upgraded, you'll be able to find deposits directly accessible throughout the different floors of the mines. Usually, like I said, they're blocked by some of those wooden fences I mentioned that you have to break down with your broom, or sometimes they just seem to be sitting out on their own. If you're wondering how to tell a granite deposit apart from other mining nodes, it will look a lot like a mineable stone node, since it won't have any extra ore colors on it, but it will have a blocky shape instead of being rounded like the stone deposits are. Like I mentioned, some granite deposits are blocked behind vines that have spikes on them, which can only be chopped down with an upgraded axe, as well as walls that will sometimes be breakable with your iron tier single upgraded pickaxe, while some of the fancier looking walls will not be. Still, you don't need to break down these necessarily in order to get the materials you need to progress. If RNG is friendly to you, you can find plenty of granite, either in open areas, behind vines that don't have thorns, and can be chopped with your basic axe, as well as behind walls that your new iron pickaxe can similarly mine through. Once you have the granite you need, as well as your other materials, you'll be ready to craft the next tier of dynamite. As you continue down the floors, you'll notice that this stone rubble blocking your way to further floors will soon be replaced with gargoyle statues. This is really just a visual change and makes no real gameplay difference though, so you'll continue returning to Ferro, gathering materials for him, and then blowing your way down to the subsequent floors. He will ask you for a new material in order to craft more dynamite though, which is cobalt ore. You can collect this with your iron pickaxe too by mining the blue deposits you find on the mid and higher floors of the mines. These are sometimes blocked off by obstacles you'll need to break to reach, and sometimes not. But as long as the random generation in the mines treats you well, you should come across it pretty easily and be able to deliver it to Ferro without much of an issue. Once you reach the final floor of the mine, returning to Ferro will prompt some dialogue where he's surprised that there's nothing left now for him to blow up. After this, there won't be much you can do to interact with Ferro anymore, and you'll mainly just get prompted to say goodbye when you approach him. At this point, congratulations! You've completed what's available for the new mining content as of this update. However, regardless of if you've explored the mine completely or not, the devs also added tons of new furniture items you can put in your tavern, so there's still more to explore that was recently added. Over 50 new decorations were implemented in this update alone, many of which it seems you can buy from the shop vendors in town. Some of the items though won't be purchasable unless you reach certain reputation levels, so just know that if you're still working on leveling up. But still, don't miss getting these items if you enjoy personalizing your tavern. The devs also added several new cooking workbenches, including advanced versions of cooking stations that you might already be familiar with. There's a lot of these to cover, so again, I won't go too into depth on them in this video, but once Traveler's Rest is further along in development and has its cooking system and recipes more finalized, I am potentially open to doing some guides on cooking or brewing if I get the time, if that is something you'd like to see. The advanced workstations are excellent though because they can let you craft better quality food and drinks, which can raise the sell prices of your items pretty dramatically. and they can also make aging speed faster or enable you to have more servable drinks available in your tavern's dining area for your customers. I believe a lot of these workstations are level locked though, so you will need to make progress through the game in order to start putting these to use in your tavern, much like you will with some of the higher comfort value tavern decoration items. Now that I've gone over all of the exciting new major additions to the game, I wanted to quickly cover the other, smaller tweaks that the devs made in this update. There are a lot of very minor balance changes and improvements that I won't list here one by one, but I'll cover some of the more notable ones you might actually notice and appreciate being in the game now. The first of these changes is that recipes that can change in price based on the ingredients that you put into them now show the minimum and maximum price that they can sell for. I shared a pretty blurry clip of this in my shorts before. Sorry about that, it was the only teaser footage that the devs had showcased of it at the time, but I'll show you it now with much clearer actual in-game footage, an example of how this looks in the game. Here's the recipe for cooked seafood, for instance, which can change in overall price based on whether you're putting shellfish like a sea urchin, clam, or king crab into it. Before, you'd have to just click on the types of shellfish one by one to kind of guess at what your minimum and maximum price of this dish could be. But now you can clearly see the min and max price by just hovering your cursor over it. The next quality of life changes that you might also notice have to do with balancing. The devs have gone through and changed the costs of ingredients, recipes, and various non-food items in the game to make the prices feel more reasonable for the different benefits that these items provide. So you may notice this, especially if you're a long-time or returning player. And finally, you can now search through your recipes by ingredient. To do this, just type in the name of the ingredient that you'd like to search by into the search bar, and the game will show you all the recipes you can craft with that ingredient. So now that the first part of the Traveler's Rest Mines update is officially out, what should we expect next for the game? As I said, this is only the first part of the Mines update. There are actually 2 major updates planned around adding and expanding on the mines in this game. But why didn't we get everything in one update, you might wonder? That's because the content that's planned to come to the mines next is mainly dependent on an exciting new system being added to the game first, the magic system. The next update will supposedly include the city's underground area, which the devs have referred to as the Magic City, as well as new ingredients, magic recipes, and new resources we can find within the mines as well. We'll be getting one more upgrade tier for our tools and crafting workstations too, and the magic ingredients we can get will either be discoverable within the mines themselves, on the floors, or through their puzzles. In this next update, the mine will also have 9 floors total, with every 3 floors of the mine having a completely different aesthetic: mine, swamp, and volcanic. And the aesthetic that certain floors have will change the resources that are available in them, so that's really exciting for the future of the game. There's a lot more content coming, and it seems like the game is really fleshing out in anticipation of its eventual 1.0 release. The game is already a wonderful experience, but I expect it will be absolutely fantastic for both new and returning players once the devs get it done. The devs have mentioned too that they'll be sharing an official roadmap soon on Steam, covering all of the major things that they'd like to have in before the 1.0 release. So if you're curious about that, definitely take a look at it once it drops. I believe they mentioned they would be posting it sometime next week. Anyway, what do you think of part 1 of the Mines update and the future plans for the second part of the Mines coming soon? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it so much if you took a moment to like the video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my guide videos like this one. Thank you again, and happy tavern keeping.